Howdy, I'm Austin Larson, and this is the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast. Thanks for joining me in this second episode. I really appreciate all the love and support I've been getting on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks again for all that. Feedback so far has been very positive, for the most part.
It's all toilet sounds. Where did you record this?
I went out and celebrated a friend's birthday last weekend, and 2 separate people approached me about the podcast, so that was a pretty cool feeling. Later that same weekend, I had an older gentleman ask me how long I was in the Marines for. I was kind of confused at first, and after I explained my tattoos, he was very apologetic. I told him I usually get asked if I was in the Navy, so Marines were kind of a nice change of pace. For this episode, I had the privilege of interviewing my good friend for many years, Layla Beth. She's kind of a jack of all trades, and I was really glad to get her on the show. This was my second interview ever, and my first on Skype, so please bear with me. I really think this is going to be a great episode. I hope you enjoy it. And I hope that clip doesn't get me in trouble.
You're listening to the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast.
All right, and I'm live here in beautiful Browns Edition. I'm joined by my guest today, Layla Beth, via Skype.
Hi.
Howdy. All right. Well, Layla, thanks again for being on the show. You're a stylist, cosmetologist, actress, model, burlesque dancer, writer. That's only a handful of your titles, though. I think it'd probably be easier to list what you don't do.
Well, I mean, just because I do them doesn't mean I do them well. So,
There you go, and it doesn't matter as long as you're out there doing it.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, just diving right into it. How many tattoos do you have? I mean, if you don't know the exact number off the top of your head, ballpark is fine. I lost count myself a while ago. I have a cheat sheet.
I don't really know. I lost count a really long time ago. I started counting in hours. So that, because I forget about, so many of them that I have actually. And I think that would be, oh gosh, I could be really way off on this too, but somewhere around 40 hours.
Okay, nice. I was going to say, I forget about tattoos too. Sometimes just getting out of the shower, it's like, oh my God, when did that happen? Oh, wait.
This is brand new.
Ooh, that healed nicely. So you said about 40 hours?
Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Damn, that's a full work week. Okay, nice. And then you've moved around a lot. I guess not a lot, but you've lived in a lot of places in this country. How many states do you think you've been tattooed in?
4. I have been tattooed in 4 states.
Oh, awesome. Okay, that's twice as many as me. So it's Illinois. Louisiana and Washington. Yeah, that's all of my ink.
Oh, yeah, I have Oregon, California, Arizona, and Texas.
Okay, nice. There you go. When did you start getting tattooed?
Well, interesting question, considering how I know you. Was right after the birth of my first child. So I was 19 years old at the time. It was still pretty... not super early, but, wasn't super mainstream either. So it was kind of a little rebellious way of still being cool, after I had become a mother.
Okay, there you go. Mom's still cool. It's
Right.
What was that first tattoo?
It's this teeny tiny little, smaller than the size of a quarter, rose on my ankle. I know, how very original. But I did have to be slightly rebellious, and it's in purple.
Okay. Does the color purple have any sort of significant meaning or
Well, I mean, it does for me now, just, because I lived an entire lifetime after that. At the time, all the other little girls in my squad, who were getting little rose tattoos all had red roses. So, I just had to be different.
Hey, there you go. I was going to say, if it didn't have a specific meaning, do you ever make one up just to fuck with people?
Oh, I've done that. But I do that with things besides tattoos, too. So you never know what you're going to get out of me.
It is too much fun to pass up, I feel that. Full disclosure, yeah, you are the mother of my best friend from growing up. My best friend to this day, Wyatt. We love the shit out of that boy. I think eventually I am going to try to get him on the show. So.
Oh, he would be amazing. I have no doubt.
He would be. He can fucking talk for days. So yeah, he would be perfect for this.
And I don't stop laughing when he does. He just cracks me up incessantly.
Oh my God. Not trying to age you here or anything, but that was what, 1994?
Yeah, that would have been 94.
Okay, nice, But hey, I mean, still just a little red rose on the ankle. I mean, in the era of, purple. Excuse me. Wow. Thank you for catching that. But still, I mean, that was what, around the era of we're seeing a lot of the barbed wire armbands, but not a lot of the Chinese characters yet, right? That's still a couple of years away.
Yep, you're spot on right there.
Hey, I'm trying to know the history a little bit. So would you say that you were raised around tattoos, tattooing, just the tattoo culture?
No, not at all. My dad had the stereotypical, I was in the Navy, so I got a tattoo. Then my aunt, my super cool aunt that was only 13 years, is only 13 years older than me. She wound up having a couple of really little ones when I was not a teenager, like a little girl. And I was just like, oh my God, she's got tattoos. She's cool. So, but other than that, no, maybe the old military men with their tattoos, but that was it.
Okay, so just enough to kind of get a taste for it, to get that curiosity, but you weren't growing up going to shows, hanging out in shops, anything like that.
No, no, not at all.
All right. I feel that, this is something I kind of discovered for myself as an adult, I wonder sometimes what it's like growing up around, but okay. So that being said, how'd your family take it when you came home with that first purple rose on your ankle?
Oh, well, they weren't really pleased about it, even though it's so small. You can really, like, I can cover it with a Band-Aid. But my mom just kind of gave me the silent treatment for 3 or 4 days. And my dad rolled his eyes at me and I said, hey, you have one. And he was like, yeah, well, I was drunk. What was your excuse? So yeah, they weren't really happy with it. But now, now they know what I look like. I'm pretty inked up and I'm pretty sure that it doesn't even faze them anymore.
I feel that, eventually, no matter how disapproving they be, the family does come around.
Well, and they disapprove of a lot that I do. So it's really not, news.
Tattoos are just another freckle, right?
Sure. Yes.
So your background, modeling, acting, everything like that. But the performing arts specifically, that's something that you were involved in, I'm guessing, before you started getting tattoos, right?
Yes. The whole dancer, choir, like that. I wanted that lifestyle. My family didn't. They would have been happier with me wanting to be like a librarian or something, and I love to read. So don't get me wrong. I think being a librarian would be badass, actually. I'm just a little bit more ostentatious than that. And I always wanted to be a performer. And so I kind of had to claw my way into my performing background and started doing pageants and things like that. So that was, another fun aspect to the tattoos was the pageants. That was kind of not really heard of at the time.
Okay, I was going to ask, did your tattoos, or I guess when you started getting them, did that have an effect on modeling, acting, that type of thing? Okay, yeah, please tell me more.
It still kind of does, even though, shows and popular culture is littered with them. When you're scraping into the basement level of trying to get out there, a lot of times they don't want you to stand out. You need to be able to blend in. I've spent time on television sets with them airbrushing my tattoos, and they don't like to if you're not a star, a leading lady. They don't want to spend that time. So you should either find a way to cover up, which I have also done. I can totally pull off the soccer mom thing, cover up my arms and everything, or just try to go into niche performance, which is what I eventually did with burlesque. That way you can have all the body art you want.
Hey, there you go. Okay. So I guess going off of that, would you say that in the, I guess, kind of the niche stuff, having the tattoos, piercings, everything like that, would you say that that's benefited you or given you an edge over others, maybe?
Well, I don't know that it's given me an edge necessarily. Most burlesque performers, and I don't want to say most, but quite a bit are going to have some kind of body mod. Some of them don't have any at all, and that's kind of their little claim to fame, is they don't even have like ear piercings and things like that. So it's pretty standard to find certain niche performers with quite a bit of ink.
Very cool. So would you say that you've outright faced discrimination or prejudice being so heavily tattooed? I guess not even in terms of in work, just in terms of life in general.
Well, yeah, depending on where you live and what you're trying to do as far as a job or, social standing or whatever, some people will pretty much make it clear that they don't like it, they don't approve. It really hasn't happened for a long time, though. I was a board member on the Chamber of Commerce in the town I lived in before I lived here, and nobody batted an eye at me, not these old timers in cowboy hats. It didn't seem to faze anybody. So I think people are kind of coming around. In 2020, they're coming around.
It's about time, right?
Right.
Okay, and then so as you were kind of saying, depending on where you live, would you say that you faced more or less discrimination in different areas of the country, or maybe just like small towns versus big cities?
I think each place kind of has a subset of what's going to be acceptable and what's not. Because I lived in the Austin, Texas area for a while. You'd think in Austin nobody cares. You can be inked, you can be a freak, it's going to be totally fine. But we lived in a little suburb, and that little suburb was they weren't as interested in that sort of thing, at least until, they got to know me and my family, and they realized we weren't going to eat their children and, sacrifice their pets.
At least not yet, right?
No, not until I get to know them.
It's important. Okay, but then I guess you have the unique perspective. Would you say that having a lot of ink and the discrimination prejudice, is there a double standard for men and women?
I think there kind of used to be. I myself I had some different views on it. I was certain I would never get my arms done. Ankles, lower back, whatever. That was kind of what I had set aside for myself. Now I have both of my arms pretty well covered. And so I think that kind of used to be the case. The barbed wire tattoo that you brought up, Pamela Anderson, she kind of did a lot to break down that wall and show us that, oh my gosh, she's a mom too. She kind of did a lot to sort of normalize that for us. So go Pamela.
Man, I never thought I'd be hearing that, but on my show, that is awesome. Thank you. I totally forgot. Yeah, you're right. Totally spaced on that. That was a Pam thing. You're right. Wow.
Well, I mean, I wanted to be her. She was married to Tommy Lee. I mean, come on.
I mean, hey, right? You got Motley Crue, you got Baywatch. What more do you need, really?
Perfect life. It was the perfect life. She's a vegan. She, all that stuff. What's not to like?
But yeah, then moving on from discrimination, how about just unsolicited comments? And really, this is anywhere. Just people see visible tattoos and they decide to voice their opinions. I mean, have you had experience with that?
Oh, yes. I had one little silver-haired lady walk up to me one time and be like, God doesn't like that. And she was touching my arm. And I'm just like, don't touch me. You might give me, some evil old witch disease or something. But then I had another one time do similar, only she came up to me and she said, is that permanent or is it just drawn on? I said, oh no, it's permanent. She's like, that is so neat. I wish that they would have done that when I was younger. So it's kind of just as much as you get, some real ass hats over it. You get people that really think it's cool. But they do, tattoo just gives anybody license to talk to you. That's kind of just how it's seen. I don't care. I'll talk to anybody. And if you're rude, I'll be rude back. Maybe I'll kill you with kindness. I don't know.
It's good to have options. I've faced that too. I think probably after I finished my first sleeve, I was kind of expecting people to just kind of crawl out of the woodwork, and everywhere I go, I just kind of had that made up in my mind. But yeah, most of the time when people want to stop and talk about tattoos, it's usually very positive. I love talking about tattoos. Hence this show. And then how about people just going up and wanting to take a closer look? I know sometimes this happens to me, not super often, but enough to stick out. I'll be at a bar or club or something with my friends. I'm the only one with a beard and, sleeves. I stand out, and people just come up, pull up the sleeve of my shirt to take a better look. And it's like, what the hell? Is that something you ever face?
Yeah, I've kind of faced, a lot of handsy people being a performer and things like that too. And so it really isn't anything different than that. Of course, the drunker they get, the handsier they are. And
very true.
So I don't want to say, oh, you just have to learn to deal with it, because you shouldn't have to deal with something that makes you uncomfortable. I've just kind of grown a thick skin about it. I can tell someone to, get bent pretty quick too. So if it's bothering me, I will certainly put them in their place. But they do like to take a closer look. That's for sure.
I feel that. So do your tattoos, are they mainly aesthetic? Do you have meaning, stories for a lot of them?
Well, they all have meaning one way or another. I try to keep them aesthetic, but I also like to kind of put something on me that might make a person raise their eyebrows, because, I can go into full beauty queen mode and look like, I'm auditioning for a Fox News newscaster job. And so it's fun to see them when they see like the anarchy symbol on my inner wrist, and they just start to wonder, or my knuckles, because I have my knuckles done. Oh, why did this woman have tattoos on her hands? What's her story? Has she been to prison? There's still a lot of assumptions about it. So I really do like to make people kind of scratch their head and wonder.
There you go. Make yourself an enigma. I like that.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. And then so on the last episode, the first episode, during that interview, Cam West and I kind of defined the ex-girlfriend tattoo as something that, had meaning or meant something. Maybe it was a name, a date, a symbol, whatever. Basically, it represented a relationship that's no longer really a thing. Do you consider any of your tattoos ex-girlfriend tattoos?
Well, I mean, I guess in one way of speaking, yes. They're not ex tattoos, because if I get your name on me, we're probably going to break up. That just seems to be the rule of thumb. But
Yeah.
I certainly have dead husband tattoos, if that can be a new thing, a new subset.
I think that, yeah, that would definitely fall under something different than the ex-girlfriend tattoo.
Because I only had one and I loved tattoos and I wanted more and I was very enamored with them and attracted to them when I met my now late husband. And then ever since I met him, we just both got more and more inked and we got some that matched and some similar ones too. So I have quite a few that are somehow related to him, which of course, no regret there at all.
Totally. That's, oh man, Mr. Brett.
Yes.
Man, I would have loved to have had him on this
Oh,
program.
he would have loved this too, by the way. He would have talked here for an hour just about his first one because he had stories and stories about his tattoos.
Oh man, he was just a hell of a guy,
Oh, yeah.
never a dull moment around him.
For sure.
But yeah, with your background in the arts, I guess, whether it be, aesthetics, performing, what have you helped design any of your tattoos? Do you help design any of your tattoos?
Mostly I go to an artist with kind of a rough outline of what I want, just a mental description. And if I vibe with them, I just kind of let them have it. I'll tell them a basic what I want and we go. They're the artist, not me.
That's what I love to hear. That is very much how I am. I really don't do I don't draw, I don't draw, I don't paint. I want someone else to make my tattoos look good, So how about removal, cover up? Do you have any experience have you removed any of your tattoos or covered them?
I haven't removed. I have had a few reworked. Just the same thing. I didn't necessarily go into full blown cover up, but I've had a few reworked and kind of just dressed back up and made to look better. We all need a little help with age, so I've done that to a few of mine.
Nothing lasts forever. I totally feel that.
Thank God for that. But,
yeah. I know I talked a little bit about with modeling, acting, if tattoos affected that. But how about just other employment, just in general?
Not recently. And I'm pretty lucky that I tend to stay relatively self-employed, doing freelancer things like that. But in the later years, I haven't had any problem with that. In some of the earlier years, when it wasn't so much a tattoo, I had an eyebrow ring really early on. I still have it. I did it myself. And I was working in a high-end cosmetic shop, and the manager just freaked out. And when the owner found out, she was not happy about it, and she made sure that never happened to me again, because it's kind of like cosmetics. It's just an addition for beauty. So I haven't really had it for tattoos, but I did see it a little bit with piercings.
Sorry, going off on that, you said you did your eyebrow yourself?
I did.
Oh man, was that like just an at-home job or?
Yeah. In fact, it was in a bathroom that you have probably been in at my parents' house.
Oh my, yeah, it is. Yes, it is. Then was it the hallway one?
The
oh my. That's hardcore. Man, I mean that.
It was cool. Yeah.
It was painful?
No, not too bad. I used a cork and a sewing needle. Yeah. So, it wasn't too bad at all.
Okay, man, that's braver than I am, but still, oh man. Kind of switching gears here. How important would you say professionalism is in a tattoo shop or a tattoo studio?
Well, I mean, it's a different culture. So while, there should be a certain level of professionalism that's acceptable within that culture, that's one thing. But I personally don't want an artist with kind of a stick up their rear end. I want somebody who's a little bit willing to let their hair down a little bit more. But that can still be professional within its own right. So definitely be professional, but loosen up. Let's have some fun. You're making me bleed. Let's laugh.
I agree. It's all about finding that happy medium, because you don't want anything that feels, I don't want to feel like, I'm in a law firm or a tax accountant's office or anything like that. But at the same time, I don't want to feel like, I'm in the shack behind Wendy's, It
There's
definitely
a happy medium there.
Oh, totally. Okay. But then kind of going on the shack at Wendy's, how important would you say shop hygiene is?
Oh, 100% important. And in truthfulness, I haven't been in really too many that I would even think were dirty. I had a really cool experience when my daughter was a baby. It was so clean. My daughter grew up in tattoo places. So when you were asking that question earlier about what that would have been like, she's the person to ask because she's been in so many of them. They were all cleaning up. People would say, you take your daughter in there. I'm like, it's cleaner than your house. Trust me. These places, some of them are just immaculate. And so I had her in there with me me and holding her while I was getting inked by someone named Mom, ironically. It was pretty cool in Austin, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yes, very, very clean. And that is important, but I've really mostly been exposed to only that.
I agree. In my experiences, I've only been to one or two shops that I don't even want to call them dirty. They weren't as clean as a lot of other places I've been, but they certainly weren't filthy.
I have a cosmetology background, so I've been, same thing with salons. There's varying levels of clean and everything. And so I had kind of an eye to spot, oh, this place is skeezy. And that's really just never happened.
Okay, yeah, definitely having the foundation and knowing what to look for is important. Eventually I'll probably end up doing an entire episode on just what to look for to make sure a shop's clean. So now we've talked about professionalism and hygiene. Have you ever had a tattoo outside of a shop environment before?
No, yes, I have.
Okay.
It was a nightmare.
There's no judgment on this show. I mean,
yeah, it was actually not a good experience. And that was one of the ones I had to wind up having reworked. The guy roofied me too. So, that's something you might want to put in
fucking cool.
episode. But don't get roofied. So yeah, it was pretty scary. He and another friend had come into our home. So it wasn't the cleanliness that was a problem. He was just, disgusting himself.
The house wasn't filthy. He just was.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of leading to my next question. I was going to ask if you've ever been tattooed by, I guess, a scratcher, an unlicensed artist, an aspiring artist.
He had a license, but he was not good. Although that was my first experience, he was kind of showing me how to use the tattoo gun. So I got to play around with that just a tiny little bit. That part was cool, that before the roofing happened. Yeah, he was definitely a scratcher.
Yeah, that's no good. Not counting that, I was going to ask if you've ever been tattooed while intoxicated, but of course, unknowingly being given a roofie does not count. So
right. Well, but to answer your question in all fairness, yes, I have been. Some of them, I would say not super intoxicated, maybe just like a glass or two of wine to kind of, okay, this is going to hurt for like the next 5 hours. So let's loosen up a little bit. And some 100% completely sober, which those always make me really happy because it's kind of like, the whole unmedicated childbirth thing. It's like, I did it. So yeah, I have definitely had some drinks in me and also not. It really, you shouldn't because it thins your blood. And so it can make you bleed a lot more, but sometimes just need to loosen up.
Hey, totally. I feel that. I've gotten tattooed after lunch where I had, a beer or two. So not even drunk, but enough that it's in your blood. I guess probably more than anything, I've gotten lots of tattoos while I was stoned.
Me too. Definitely.
But I guess that's not the same thing as being drunk. Not even close.
No, in fact, one of my favorite artists, he is still a dear friend. He would oftentimes have to get up and go out back and puff up a little bit and then come back in and then get up and come back. And he would just get more and more creative the more stoned he was, though. It never bothers me if a tattoo artist is stoned.
Well, that's important. On the last episode, I talked about the one tattoo I kind of got that was fucked up and the dude was stoned. But I mean, hey, the creative process is different for everyone. If you can smoke and hold it, if it makes you better, no, more power to you. If you're fucking up my arm, though, I mean, just get fucked.
Right. Yeah. No, I've never had quite that experience. They've all been, if they're stoned, it's because they're stoned all the time and that's, their life and part of their process. And of course, I'm a huge, cannabis advocate anyway.
Hey, there you go, and yeah, if it's part of your process, you're the one making the art, you're the artist. That is not me. So, I mean, hell, if you just got to, stand in your head, do whatever. It's
right. I don't judge. Do your thing.
The end result is what matters. We talked a little bit about modeling earlier. Would you say that you've done any modeling specifically for tattoos, or has it all just been kind of one thing leading to another?
I did to do a calendar one time. That was pretty cool. It was a tattoo girl calendar. I was Miss May. I think it was
Miss May. Ooh, Miss May. I like, wow, yeah. There you go.
Even though I'm a January baby, I got to be May. So that was pretty cool. But nothing really other than that, really. I mean, a lot of times if I do a photo shoot, the photographer is well aware of the fact that I have tattoos. And so they will, play that up a little bit. But a lot of times it's just not specific to tattoos. It's just because it's what I do.
So have you ever, so you've never worked like conventions, anything like that?
I have never been to a tattoo convention, and I know that that might make people say, "What?" But I have never been.
Oh man, you would love it. I've been to lots. They're awesome.
I would love to go. It's just, my life gets in the way sometimes and I never have a chance to just go and hang out. And I know that I wouldn't be able to leave without having something done. So got to stick some cash aside for that too.
I feel that. But yeah, no, life always has a way of just getting between you and what you want to get done, you know? You actually kind of answered this earlier, but I guess I'll still ask just because you did mention Wyatt earlier as well. So Chevelle did get to kind of grow up around tattoos, tattooing. How about Wyatt? Would you say that, I mean, definitely not on the same level, but did he grow up around the tattoo culture as well?
Not so much the culture, because I only had the one as he was growing up, but I did have a couple of piercings, and he was with me when I would go get some of them. He was really little when I got my navel pierced, and he was right there with me, and it was hilarious because he was trying to, tell the piercer how to make mommy feel better. That's just kind of always how he's been. He didn't grow up around it, but he did start getting his own tattoos. He doesn't have that many. I was asking him, Christmas, what do you want? And he's like, I want a tattoo. And I was just like, let's do it,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's go have some mother-son ink time. So
I got a tattoo with my mom. It's
yeah. Yeah. So
or I guess I didn't get it with her, but we have a matching one. So yeah, no, totally, you should.
I would love to have something with him. He's, because he's just got the best personality, and I love, everything that he does. I'm just going to gush about my son for a second. He
Please
doesn't.
go ahead. I mean, I grew up with the kid and just not mentioned right here in this interview, but everything he's fucking overcome in these past few years, especially, and just seeing him still him, that's
Yeah, he's doing, pretty great, all things considered right now. And so, yeah, I'm definitely happy to spring for a tattoo for him. And so I wish that he could have grown up a little bit more the way Chevelle did, but, they have two different fathers. We'll leave it at that.
that's all that needs to be said. I picked up what you're saying loud and clear.
Yeah.
What would you say that the number one misconception that people just first glance looking at you, tattoos, hair, piercings, everything, just what's the number one misconception they have?
A lot of times people think that, I'm probably not smart, maybe a little rough around the edges, but that's not the case. I mean, I could definitely be smarter. We all could. I consider myself somewhat educated, well-read, well-spoken, well-traveled, not really rough around the edges. I'm a super girly girl. Haven't ever had to use a prison shank on anyone. So I wish that people could just see that, you can be like this super girly girl and still be pretty inked up. Doesn't mean that you're going to stick someone in the bathroom. You might just collect Barbie dolls or something, which I used to before they were stolen. You can be a nice person and have tattoos. Wink.
I like that. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
And then this, it doesn't necessarily have to be related to tattoos unless it is. If you could give yourself if you could go back in time, 18 years old, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself?
Oh boy. Well, gosh, I don't know that I could narrow it to one piece, but I would just say, hang on, it's going to get crazy.
So be prepared. All right.
I do have one little bit of tattoo related information that's, not official type information, but it's kind of a cute, fun, semi-dark humored little fact about tattoos.
Ooh, yeah, we love that.
And well, as you know, we talked about my late husband. We had him cremated, and the funeral director said that sometimes the ashes can come back with a different little tinge to them, different little colors, and his do have little tinges of different color through them, and they almost look iridescent sometimes. And I was just like, that is the super freaking coolest thing about, that. And he would love that. He would love the fact that he made semi-colorful ashes. So that's just, a little something to be thinking about as you're making your choice for ink. Like, use those vibrant colors that are going to survive the fire.
Wow, I never heard that. That's fascinating. And and yeah, that definitely, as much as he stood out in life, yeah, Brett would have loved the hell out of that.
Yes. So it's like, I mean, if you look directly at them and they look like ashes, but you look through them a little bit, you can see little hues of kind of pinkish or light blue here and there. And so I just think that's a really cool fact that a lot of people don't really know.
And now we do. So thank you again. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you again so much. I mean, as I said, stylist, cosmetologist, actress, model, writer. Before I go, just because you've been, so gracious with your time and everything, if you want to take a sec to plug any of your social media, please go ahead.
You can pretty much find me by Googling Layla Beth, LaylabEth. I have laylabeth.com. I have my the Snarky Widow page on Facebook where you can get more of my dark widow humor, which is pretty much what's saved me, in this abyss of widowhood. Lots of blogs, working on a book. You never know. You never know where I might turn up.
You're a busy lady, so thank you so much for making time to appear on the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo podcast. Really appreciate your time once again, Layla Beth.
Thank you. It was really cool to be here with you, and I'm really proud of you. I'll go into mom mode for a second. I'm really proud of what you're doing. You're really making us all proud back here at home. So, just keep up the good work. This is awesome. You're going to be, a big old badass superstar here pretty soon, and I'll get to say I got to do your show.
You were even on the second episode.
I was on the second episode.
All right. But yeah, just hold on to that name, Layla Beth. Thank you again so much.
Thanks, Austin. Have a good one.
Hey, you too. All right. Once again, that was the one and only Layla Beth. Thanks for listening to our interview. With the holidays next week, I'm probably going to be too busy to record any new content, so this is more than likely going to be the final episode of the year, of the decade even. I've already reached out to a few folks, and I'll be posting about it on Facebook and Instagram, but I want to start recording interviews for the first episode based around a central topic, which will be first tattoos. I have no idea how long that'll take to get edited together, but hey, we'll just have to find out. So please, if you have a particularly interesting or gruesome first tattoo story, please get a hold of me and we can schedule something. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast, or you can email me at exgirlfriendtattoopodcast@gmail.com. All one word, no hyphens. Please, I want to hear your stories. Well, thanks again for listening. We're live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, CastBox, Podchaser. You get the idea. Of course, I'm also hosted at exgirlfriendtattoopodcast.buzzsprout.com, so you can always listen there. I'm Austin Larson, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast.